Ends Thursday. Be happy.
All on.
We're all good.
Well, good to go.
Where I need to go.
Okay. Early August.
Good afternoon. This meeting of the Shelton Metropolitan Park District is now called to order. If you are ready to hear the consent agenda.
I am.
I am. All right. Can we please have the reading of the consent agenda?
I do have a correction on the consent agenda, but I'll read it as
Okay.
correct. Voucher number 12 in the amount of $10,280.62 to City of Shelton for fourth quarter 2015 services.
Okay. Was there a correction?
The voucher number on here listed is 99.
Oh.
It's actually number 12.
Okay.
It's number 12, it's not 990000?
Correct.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda with the correction of the voucher number, which is 12.
Okay.
Yes.
A second?
And I second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I also am in favor. Forgot. I always forget that part. Okay, we have no old business, but Mark Ziegler has some new business for
He's
us.
old. He's the old business.
That's right. Thank
Not
you.
as old as me.
Thank you.
Older than me.
Nope,
Appreciate it.
still kid.
So today I'm updating you on one of the processes that we're going through with this Parks and Recreation Citizens Advisory Committee, and that's updating the Parks and Recreation Comprehensive Plan. It's a 6-year roadmap to where Parks and Recreation will be taking our park facilities based on the public's input. Part of this process is to put out a public survey, garner as much interest as we can from the public and what their wants and needs may be. Not only currently, but over the next 6 years, for not only parks and where parks might be located, future parks and facilities, but also amenities within those parks. You know, what types of parks? If it's a BMX track or a soccer field or basketball court or public restrooms or any of those things. So, kind of the first step, we've been working through this plan and updating the existing plan we have now at our monthly Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee meetings. The next step is putting out a written survey, as you have a draft of that in your packets today. It's a fairly short survey. We want to get people to respond to these, and the feeling is that if it's a long 5-page survey, folks probably set it aside and not bother with it. So, fairly short survey. It's crafted after the previous survey we did in 2007. And then along with the survey, we would also have a public meeting, invite the general public to come to that meeting and express their interests in support of any of the projects that might be listed here or provide some new projects. And we'll also develop this in an electronic format so we can get it out via the avenues that we have available to us here at the city and make it as easy as possible for people to provide their input. And they certainly could call me or email me with any comments or input or suggestions as well. If they're not comfortable filling out the survey or they just have, one comment or suggestion there. So we garner some demographic information, what kind of neighborhoods they might live in, areas of town, how many times they visited some of our park facilities, what they feel is most needed within our parks. There's a full list of amenities that they might that we've come up with as suggestions, but there's also opportunities for them to provide any input or other facilities. If they think some of our parks are in great shape or poor shape, we certainly want to know that. We tend to not hear a lot of positive comments. We typically get comments back when there's an issue and a problem, and we really want to hear those. That's how we can address some of the issues, because we can't be in the facilities at all times. And it's nice to hear when something's wrong or people feel like they have a concern in one of our park facilities, and then we can address it. We also ask about recreation programming, what type of programming they might want to see. provided in the community, something that the residents might take advantage of, and best react to that and get some of those programs available to them. There is a question on here about funding, additional funding, and the formatting kind of is a little funky there on the back side of the page. When it was printed off, I apologize for that, but we ask about some of the funding strategies, and with the formation of the Metropolitan Park District in 2010, that was supposed to address a lot of these funding issues that we're having within the Parks Department. But there is still some opportunities for, maybe for folks if they really wanted to express some interest in a larger park facility, community center, big sports field complex, purchase of a waterfront property, something like that would be above and beyond what the Park District is funding right now. So there's a question and answer area in there to express some interest in whether they would want to fund a big project like that with some additional revenue streams. I think that about covers it, unless you have any questions or comments.
This is just a demo here. You're still going to change this, This isn't the final.
We're working, yep, there's a little work still to do on it, absolutely.
Okay. And then we all live in the city, so we can fill this out also, basically. And so
Certainly.
We'll get one of these dropped in our box or whatever.
The intent is to have these go out with the city utility bill.
Well, then I'll get
In June?
I'll get 10 of those.
And we'll, and so it's a nice avenue to utilize. It's utility billings that are already going out to our residents, so we can throw an insert in with those, but we'd also put them out in public areas here in the Civic Center and other areas, and put out some press releases notifying the public that these comments are warranted for this situation.
I assume you'll be going on the radio as well
You
as
bet.
part of this?
Absolutely.
Okay, I think last time you did this survey, you kind of gently insinuated that my neighborhood stacked the deck to get the Teresa Johnson Community Trail. I can't promise that isn't true, but I did get the word out that we needed to get the surveys back in, so hopefully that will happen this time as well. Kathy, did you have any
Yeah,
comment?
is this going to go on, is this too much information to put on the new website that we're going to have?
I'm not sure how it'll be formed. We certainly could put a link to that, and
Right.
they could download that from the
I
website.
think that would be really good.
Yeah, we'll certainly have that. As far as a fillable form, I don't know if we're capable of that with our existing website, but if we have that new website up in time to have this information pertinent,
They
that
can
we would
print it
certainly
off
do
and-
that, or have a fillable form.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's great. It looks really good.
And did you tell us, will it go out in the next utility bill?
Yeah, the intent
Okay. Great.
for it to go out in the June utility bills.
Fabulous.
Yep, very good.
Okay, at this time, do you have any report for us, Pete?
2 days.
And the short answer is no.
All right.
And thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair.
Of course. So this is the first day that Pete is joining us as interim city administrator, so welcome, Pete. There is an opportunity for general public comment. Does anyone from the public want to comment on this? And see none. The next.
I had
Oh.
one, I just want to make a comment, so I
Okay.
might have probably should have mixed it in with what I was talking to
Go for
Mark
it.
about. But last week I was at the library attending a informational meeting talking about heroin use in our community. And your name got brought up, not as a heroin user, but as someone who is part of the answer, not part of the problem, along with the many activities that the parks has for people for time and activities and things like that. So, because a lot of times people fill things in with other things if they had more activities or opportunities to do things. And so anyway, I just want to let you know, I didn't have many great answers, really, for what the city was doing to addressing that exact situation. But your name did get brought up as a person that was working towards helping provide certain opportunities for people so they would lean more towards a physical activity rather than drug use. So there you go, public comment.
As you've seen, our summer brochure is out. The summer recreation brochure came out with the May utility bills. We're taking registrations now for our summer programs. It's, I guess, not so subtle segue into that. So we do have those programs available for youth and adults, and that information's out and about in the community, and their registrations are rolling in now as
Good.
school year is ending fairly soon.
So are you going to have stuff like at the Transit Center, or are you going to have things like craft programs and things that for kids that aren't sports-minded, or?
I have some art programs
stuff?
that'll be located here, absolutely,
Here,
through the
okay.
month of July, yeah.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you very much. You're doing a great job, Mark,
Thanks.
and hopefully the financial situation will improve in the near future, so we'll be able to do even more.
Yes.
So at this time, I will announce that the next meeting of the Shelton Metropolitan Parks District is July 25th at 1:45. And everybody fill out your surveys. This meeting is adjourned.
Just because we want to be correct in what we're doing, we should wait for a few minutes till it's closer to 2 o'clock before we start our next meeting. So we have a
Don't need that.
4-minute break. That's the way it goes. All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. The first item on our agenda for today's commission meeting is a report from the Mason County Historical Society from, I believe it is, Kristin. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
I'm Kristin Fabry. I'm the director of the Mason County Historical Society, and we are very grateful to the commissioners of their continued support of the Mason County Historical Society Museum. I'm going to go a little bit over this last quarter and then some of the current things going on at the museum. We've had a lot of new programs this first quarter and a lot of new visitors to our museum. In January, we took the month to continue work on our digital inventory system. This is the first time that we've operated on a digital inventory system instead of a card catalog type system. So far, to date, we've completed 26 years of past accessions, which is great. We've had a lot of volunteer help and we're slogging through it. We still have about 13 years left to complete, and we hope to complete this project by the end of 2016. In February, we hosted a program at the museum with speaker Jean Springer about Prudhoe Bay and Point Barrow. She showed slideshows of her travels throughout the area. It was a very interesting program. There were about 20 in attendance. In March, the Mason County Historical Society hosted a history of Hoodsport, Phoenix Logging, Potlatch, and Lake Cushman at the Hoodsport Fire Hall. Speakers Tim Sheldon, Frank Gray, Bill Jensen, Bob Sund, and Shirley Earhart talked about the history of the area. We also had Dan Warder of DCS Films, who's putting together a DVD of the Antlers Hotel. The Antlers Hotel is under Lake Cushman since the dam was opened, and he's had divers actually go down there, and they've found parts of the hotel, and they're making a DVD, a documentary about it. So he talked a little bit about that, and we anticipate the release of the DVD coming up. The program was a huge success, and we had over 200 people present at that program, which was great. So I'm hoping that when we get the documentary, we'll have a follow-up program and we'll be able to show the documentary at the museum. During the first quarter, we also collected donations for the annual fund, resulting in raising over $15,000, which surpassed our goal of $12,000 for the year. We're very grateful for the generosity of the community. This can come at a better time as our operating costs are increasing, especially due to the loss of a free storage facility that we had. So right now we're continuing to pay for storage in 4 different locations around Shelton. Mason County Historical Society strives to obtain a larger facility in the near future so that all of our inventory can be kept in the same place and we can display some of the larger items that we have that we currently are unable to display in our museum. Currently, the museum is preparing for the 16th annual Downtown Car Show. That's coming up on June 26th. The museum will be hosting a pie and ice cream social on that day, and other car show activities include a poker walk, raffle drawings, oldies music, and presentation of over 50 trophies. The car show is the museum's largest fundraising event of the year. This month as well, the Mason County Historical Society will be participating in the Belfair Senior Center's grand opening gala. That's going to be on June 24th. They are putting together a time capsule that will be built into a bench at the Senior Center in Belfair, and we'll be adding some items to that time capsule to include a history of Belfair, a book of the history of Belfair, some music, beautiful Belfair, and some related historical articles and photographs. The capsule will be opened in 50 years. They also have the seniors at Belfair High School students will be contributing to the time capsule and writing a letter to themselves in 50 years to open them. The museum staff continues to aid museum visitors with information about our exhibits, assistance with genealogical research, writing historical articles for the Mason County Journal, and putting together our monthly newsletter and rotating exhibits. Our newest rotating exhibit is we have all the past Forest Festival queens on display right now at the museum. So if you're out for Forest Festival, you can come and check that out. We're also going to be showing old films of Forest Festival parades years past. We currently have In the last quarter, we received 639 visitors, with 75 from out of town, 18 from out of state, and 3 from out of country. We hope to see an increase in visitors in this next quarter as the summer season approaches. Again, we'd like to thank the City of Shelton and City Commissioners for their continued support of the museum.
Any questions or comments?
Wow, what a nice report, Kristin. Thank you so much. I will look forward to talking to you more about the storage. I have some ideas on storage, and when we get the Railroad Museum in hand, that will be a good partnership opportunity. So,
Good report.
Thank you very much. Well, our next report is not here yet, so if they show up, we'll mix them into our meeting, and we'll jump right into weekly commission reports at this time. Commissioner Moore?
okay. This week on Wednesday, I have a Housing Coalition Executive Board meeting. On Thursday, I'll be going into Olympia for the meeting of the Community Foundation. And on Saturday, of course, Forest Festival. And then because it will happen before we meet our next week's meeting, I just wanted to announce that part of what I've been working on with the Housing Coalition is we worked on a 100-day challenge to end homelessness. And we've made some really great strides in Mason County during this 100 days. And it's exciting to celebrate the fact that we participated in that and that we've had some good turnout from that. So as part of that celebration, there is a party at the Governor's Mansion next Monday afternoon, and I understand that elected officials were invited, and so just in case my fellow commissioners are attending, I thought we should maybe announce it. So anyway, so that's my week.
Thank you very much.
Thursday, briefing with Beat, and Friday, I run my Women's Republican Luncheon. Saturday is the parade. Sunday, I'm going to be at the Bill Bryant and Drew McEwen campaign kickoff at Kapowsin Skydiving. I'm going to watch Bill Bryant, which is our upcoming man that's running for governor. He's going to skydive along with Drew, so that should be interesting. And Monday, I'm going to the governor's party, and so that's my schedule.
All right. I have nothing really scheduled in this week except obviously our staff briefings with our new interim city administrator, but I did want to take this opportunity to really thank the Public Works Department for a very swift cleanup over on Grove Street, the brick building that had the fire in it. I drove by there this morning, and I'm just really appreciative to that group for getting in there and getting that done as quick as they did, and it looks great. So, and then again on a Saturday, I will be in the Forest Festival Parade. It's a great event we have once a year for all of us, and then I'll be at the governor's place over there on Monday. But we'll have a Monday evening meeting, I believe, so we can probably report about that event. And that completes our weekly commission reports. Moving forward into the next section is the general public comment period. And I know we have several people that have signed in. We welcome comments from the public. So, Mr. Clark, do you want to be the person that gets to name the people?
Marilyn Vogler.
I'll speak later.
Speak later. And there's Mary Jean Harbeck.
But I just signed in, I don't have any.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And Mike Wilson.
Mike Olson. I want to talk about some of the events of the last week concerning the mayor. I watched your performance on the radio, and it reminded me of, first of all, it started with your complaint that the media was treating you unfairly by misrepresenting things you've said, which directly led me to think back when I was running for commissioner last year. you kept making the statement that we were $63 or $64 million in debt. And I worked with city administrator and the finance director and kind of got that whittled down to about $54 million and confronted you on that in public, and you began to back off of your number. Well, once again, you're back up to your numbers. I challenge you and the finance commissioner, get a number that the public can believe, because you're all over the page. You know, you're everywhere from 60, then 70. You know, I think it's a real campaign of misrepresentation and neglect on the city leaders' parts to really make a fair argument for your stance on the not drilling the well. If you're using the debt, I think you should be more accurate. 2 or 3 million is huge. It's not just, you know, a couple of bucks. And I think that your effort to sway the public by using misinformation is not becoming to a city leader. You know, I know people disagree, and I disagree with some of your arguments on the things you're for and against, and that's
Really?
fine. Please let me finish.
I was shocked by
So
that.
I just think that you should be more factual. You know, I just don't think that throwing out numbers like 60 million is very accurate at all. Even if it's 58 million, I think that's a $2 million swing that's pretty significant when you're talking to the public and you want their support on things. I really believe that it's a disservice, and I would like to see a better form of leadership when you're going to go out public and attack our media for reporting what you said in public and then trying to back it up with fictitious numbers. Thank you.
Okay. Usually we don't comment when people come up and say things, but because you are personally insulting me, I want to know, for the record, exactly when I said we were 70 million in debt.
I never said you were 70. I said you bounced as high as 70 on your radio program. You made 60, 70 million, you know.
Did I say 70?
Yes. Yeah, go back and look at the tape.
I said 70. Well, I'm very sorry about that, because that is not right. But I don't think I did. Here's what I said, okay? And let me tell you where I got my facts. I got my facts from Kathy Byerly, and she told me, tell them approximately or nearly $60 million. Now, do you like Kathy Byerly? Do you agree with her? Do you think she's okay? Because that's where I got my facts from. Okay?
Are we having a question and answer discussion here?
Well, we are because what you did, you just accused me of something. And I just want to be very clear. I do not ever remember talking 70. I have said that we are approximately, nearly $60 million in debt, and I got that from our financial.
My point is, I think that no matter what the number is, I think you need to get a concrete number that you can tell the public, that you can have full faith in, that you're
Absolutely.
telling absolute, honest truth and not exaggerating for political reasons.
Who would I get the number from?
City administrator and the city finance director. And
Like
Commissioner of Finance should be on top of that.
Like Kathy Byerly? Okay, I'm just telling you.
Put it out in public on paper. Let's see where that
This
debt
is being reported right here. I just told you. I got the information from Kathy Byerly, our financial
I'd like
director.
to see some proof.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you what she's told me.
You can say anything.
Okay, yeah, well.
Just like we all do.
Well, yeah, and so anyway.
Back it up with some facts for the
Right.
public so that we know that what you're saying
I will
is
continue
factual,
to say
not just
approximately
exaggerating
60 million or nearly 60 million, because we don't have our new financial director, but I'm sure that they can analyze that and put that together. So to the best of my ability, I have one source. That was our past financial director, Kathy Byerly, and you can ask her that.
I did.
You
When
did.
I was running for campaign.
Yeah, okay.
That's when I confronted you.
So
on
what I'm trying to tell you
$63 million
is
was $10 million off.
let's just do this. We agree to disagree. Okay, and what we want to do is work together to build this community strong, okay? Thank you for your comment. Anybody else at this time? Seeing none, let's move on to our consent agenda. Are we ready for the reading of our consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Consent agenda number 1, warrant number 011700 for $24,743.76 to Department of Revenue. Number 2, vouchers numbered 11701 through 11781 in the amount of $202,306.87. Number 3, Shelton Arts Commission appointment, Mr. David Corliss, term ending 12/31/19. And number 4, Fifth and Franklin budget modification in the amount of $8,140, authorizing the interim city administrator to make the necessary budget modification.
Are we ready to vote here on this, and do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda for May 31st, 2016, as read.
Okay, I will second that motion.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. There is no old business today, but there are several items under new business, and the first will be a library board appointment, and this is going to be presented to us by our interim city clerk, Wendy Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Mayor, City Commissioners. What you have before you is a library board appointment request for Miss Amy Davis. This is actually a reappointment for her. She did serve one term and is requesting to serve a second term. There is a letter of interest that Ms. Davis submitted. It's on the back of your briefing sheet, and she did submit this some time ago, and I think that somehow it got missed, and so the library board at this time does not have a quorum, and so I'm asking for today if you guys will approve this and take action on reappointing Ms. Davis. We appreciate that both she and other members do serve on the library board, and we are halfway through the year now, and we'd like to get this taken care of.
And this does require a public comment, because it's an
correct.
action item. So if anyone from the public would like to talk about this person, now would be the opportunity. Not seeing anybody coming forward. Do we have any questions or comments at this time?
You don't have any?
I don't have any.
No, I agree with making it active today because it has been a while. So in that case, I would move that we reappoint Amy Davis to the Library Board of Trustees, that it be approved today, and that the term extends until December 31st, 2020.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second to appoint Miss Amy Davis to the library board with a term ending December 31st, 2020. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. She is appointed.
Great.
All right, thank you. Next is the Downtown Creek projects, and Mike Michaels is going to talk to us about that.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. What you have before you this afternoon really is a housekeeping item. Federal Highways and State Department of Transportation do some procedural changes for the local agencies about this time every year, and the paperwork that we needed to submit per the agreement with Stephanie Tax that Greg talked to you guys about last December got caught in the middle of that procedural change, and now we need some extra paperwork, and unfortunately one of those, the prospectus, needs the mayor's signature. The main reason for a new prospectus, if they change the form, they've added a couple extra bits of information, particularly some dates on there that were not in previous forms. Other than that, it's the same. The project description is the same. The budget's the same. I lost track of my page here. We do have under the agreement the responsibility to finish the design on our own funds, but that does, with the money that we will be de-obligating from the existing design funds, leaves us about $367,000 in federal dollars for about a $425,000 project when we get to construction next year. So again, this is a housekeeping item. We need to redo the prospectus to get the supplement that was asked for approved, and so we're asking that the commission accept those and approve and authorize the mayor to sign on our behalf.
Okay.
Questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a comment on that. Several weeks ago, Steve Goins and I attended a workshop on loving your communities. And one of the things that they really, that came about as a positive thing that doesn't cost any more money, but could be way of building that pride in community, is some type of art incorporated into the sidewalks. Is that something that we do in the design phase of it, or is that something we could add? I'm not talking about, a big deal like a poem etched in the sidewalk, or, in Olympia they have little brass things in the sidewalk.
It would somewhat depend on what it is. Something like a little brass insert, that could easily be done after the fact.
Okay.
Something like stamped concrete patterns we've talked about for other projects, that's probably something that should be incorporated into the design. So
Okay.
it depends on what you want.
Okay, so we still have time to talk about that. I
Yep.
wanted to talk about that with the arts board, but it does seem that at the time that we're doing the projects is the time we should think about it. And other communities have done amazing things with little to no money that make a big difference in the way that we feel about our city. So I would
Niagara
like to-
Falls City in New York has their hydrants painted with little dogs, with little tiny hydrants, the dog walking. It's adorable. Simple things that an artist
Yeah.
can do for very little money.
And again, we have a little bit of time with this one. The
Okay.
agreement was we would start up and complete design this year to have it ready to advertise, award, and build next year's construction
Yeah.
season and complete it. So
I think
it's going to
all-
take a few weeks to get this paperwork approved anyhow, so.
Okay, well, I have some examples I can forward around, but I think that it probably would fall under the Arts Commission to maybe put forward a recommendation. So I just want to make sure that those kind of things aren't forgotten, since we are moving forward in our visioning and moving forward in our community, so,
And,
great.
just be aware they may or may not be eligible under this funding. We may have to find other funding
Okay,
to incorporate it. That doesn't mean it couldn't be part of the match, for example.
I think it's a great idea, yeah. So I think from this commission, especially if we can, those things are, cosmetic, I think they're probably pretty affordable. So I think that's a good idea. Okay, any other questions for Mike Michaels on this? Okay, then at this point, what we'll do is we concur to place this project on the consent agenda for June 6, 2016, approving the local agency protection prospectus. Authorize the mayor to sign and city administrator to make the necessary budget modifications. Thank you, Mike Michaels. All right, the C Street landfill grant. This is good news.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners.
Clark.
We, of course, are closing our C Street landfill under the State Model Toxics Control Act, MACTA. The Department of Ecology, of course, mandated that we start closing our C Street landfill, and we started working with them late 14, January 15. We were basically told we were a potentially liable party for the closure of that landfill. And so we've been working with Ecology since that point in time. We're still in the process of getting the agreed order signed. As you know, we had a couple of public hearings here a few months ago, the fall of last year. They took testimony. They're still in the process of responding to those comments that came through from the public meeting. But all that said is that this particular action we're asking for is the remedial action grant is what we have been awarded if we accept it. It's for $215,000 towards the cost of closure of, this is just the remedial investigation
Right.
feasibility study portion of the closure. This is to really do the science behind finding out what is there, identifying the types of action plans for properly closing the landfill. And so there's a 25% city match on this, which is going to come from our solid waste utility, and that has been budgeted for. So This is just really to accept the $215,000, which is the state ecology portion of the grant, because the total project is estimated, at least this feasibility remedial investigation, of somewhere a little less than $300,000. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I'm glad we were questioning on whether or not this grant was going to come through because of some little glitches there or whatever, but I'm glad we got it. We got to move forward on this. This is a good thing to do, so I'm in favor of passing this forward.
Me too.
Good. Okay, so if the commission concurs to place this item on the consent agenda for June 6, 2016. All right.
Yes.
Okay, next is a lengthy administration report by our new city administrator, Pete Buckus.
Very short, too. Not quite the no answer. First of all, I wanted the commission to know that we're still compiling information on the Grove Street fire. It is anticipated that 1 week from now, you'll be receiving a report, kind of a consolidated report from the 4 departments directly involved, and answering and maybe even asking some questions to which we provide responses to all. So that's just an update on the Grove Street fire issue. Okay to release. The police are announcing by a news release today, which the commission was made aware of earlier today, they have arrested the person of interest in the case, and that's proceeding in a normal course of manner through the criminal justice system. And that's it on the Grove Street fire. As far as finance director recruitment, I'd like to move ahead on starting the selection process for the open position of finance director. Beginning the process now will allow the new city administrator to take or make the appointment in a timely manner upon their arrival. And I think it's important not to delay it any more than we have to. The commission previously went through a competitive selection process to find an executive recruiting firm, which is taking place now for the city administrator position. You initiated that by some proposals or requests for proposals, sometimes known as an RFP, from 5 different executive search firms, and ultimately you chose a Washington-based firm known as Prothman Incorporated. Now, for the public and media present, when we do a professional search, it's different laws of the state. Basically, it's pretty open unless we're looking for an engineer or an architect. This is not a public bidding process. Prothman, frankly, commission has a good reputation. They know the regional market, and they have many satisfied customers throughout the Northwest. To save the time and the cost of a new RFP, I propose that we simply engage Prothman to do our finance director recruitment, subject, of course, to reaching a satisfactory agreement over the services to be provided, the timing, and the cost. Now, let me close this up with something that's really important to me that you know. I previously worked as Prothman as a sub-consultant on a number of projects within the state. My recommendation to you for selecting this specific firm is made irrespective of that past employment. He's the best firm for the job. So that's kind of what the report is about. All I really need is your interim city administrators a consensus to proceed along that path, and we'll keep you informed as to what we're doing.
Well, you met with each one of us individually, I imagine, and you did me anyway and talked about this, and I think Prothman's done a great job for us in many occasions, and because we want to move this thing forward, I'm in favor of taking your recommendation. That's only from me speaking, so I don't know what the fellow commissioners think about that.
I give you my blessing. For you to move ahead, for us to move ahead with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just had a question about that, Pete. So that's typically how a finance director would be hired? Is to go out in a big search like that?
Well, actually, we have the choice to limit the search, and I certainly wouldn't propose it be done on a national basis.
Yeah.
You're going to find the best candidates are probably located in 4 states, Washington, Idaho, Oregon, and California. Mm-hmm. Maybe even limit that to the state of Northern California. Mm-hmm. Okay. But yeah, they've got the expertise and the time to do it. And Frank, we're a little short on staff support in a number of areas, and one of those would be the time to put together a prospectus and advertise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I I guess my concern is just the money, you know.
Sure.
As far, I know Brockman is not an inexpensive company to deal with. And I guess I had assumed that it was not a position that we went out for, but that.
Okay. I can understand that assumption, and it's done different ways in different communities at different times.
Okay,
So while it might be normal for us in this case to search for a department head by doing a selection process ourselves, the time is unique. We simply don't have the staff horsepower to take this on effectively right now.
do we have any, is there a way that we could combine the search for a finance director with the search for some of the other high-level positions that we're missing, like the HR director or city administrative assistant? Not that, not that I'm trying to get rid of Wendy in that position, but I know she needs help, and I'm just wondering if we could combine the search as a money-saving.
Well, first of all, positions below the department head level are generally conducted by the municipality themselves.
Okay.
Secondly, in a manner of speaking, it would be an adjunct to the city administrator search. Another advantage here is, one, Prothman gave us a very attractive price for doing the work. Two, some of that work has already been done. They don't have to re-educate them about the city or make a brand new folder and so on. So, yeah, there's an advantage to using that firm with this particular search. I wouldn't call it being actually combining. I would not suggest that we simply amend the existing contract with Prothman. For accounting purposes, I'd like you all and the public to be able to see this is what it costs for a city administrator search. Here's what we're investing for a finance director search. Separate but equal.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
So do you need us to, I don't know if we concur, do we concur that this is the best move at this time? Are you
Yeah.
okay with that?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
We'll take care of it and keep you informed.
all right. Does that conclude your lengthy administration report?
Yes.
Okay. Next is general public comment period. I think Marilyn is signed up at this time to speak, so just state your name for the record, please.
Marilyn Vogler, 420 East Poplar. I have to admit some frustration about this Downtown Creek Sidewalks project. When we began the visioning process, I participated in the Saturday walk-around and stood in front of the Transit Center with Dan from the Walkability Institute, I think. And he waved his hand across the street and envisioned a pocket park with this creek daylighted and trees, and it was all lovely. And Commissioner Moore, I've heard you talk about how important it is to daylight the creeks. But when you talk about finishing the design work on this project, this isn't what we're talking about. I've heard about complaints about sidewalk cuts, deteriorating sidewalks, and capped creeks. My frustration comes out of the fact that the city seems to have developed a habit of applying for grants, accepting grant money, and then putting things on the back shelf until push comes to shove and the state says, well, you're going to have to pay this back if you don't finish up the project. The same sort of thing has happened with the pear orchard. We're not getting what we originally planned because so much time has passed and costs have risen that we can't afford what we originally planned. I haven't heard, but it seems likely that this will happen with the Evergreen Streets, Safe Streets project. We want to solve this one by spending almost, if I remember rightly, $100,000 from the Transportation Benefit District monies. I think it's time to break this habit, and I urge you, rather than going forward with this, to pay the money that we've spent back. Pay it back from abatement funds. We don't have to worry about abating the old hotel. Pay it back from the department that should have followed through and didn't. But I want to remind you too of something. And Commissioner Moore, I mentioned already your talk about daylighting creeks. But Mayor, and this is not intended as an abuse, but simply a reminder, About a year ago, you and I were at the Republican Women's Picnic in Neyland Park, and we were asked about transportation benefit dollars, and you pledged those would go for roads. This is not roads. And Commissioner McDowell, you talked a lot about obtaining grants, and yes, we're very successful in getting grants, and that's important. But grants have obligations, and we have had a record of not committing our part of those monies. It's not a good way to operate. And so I really urge you, send this one back and break this habit before it continues any further. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? This is general public comment. Mr. Olson, you already signed in, please.
Mike Olson, just a quick comment on what Marilyn said. Yes, I'm totally appalled that you're going to spend transportation benefit money on sidewalks before roads. Both of you campaigned against that. I'm just appalled that you would think about that's the first place to spend money that I single-handedly believe made this happen. As a commissioner, it's appalling that you guys would do that. What I'm really here to talk about is to give you guys a report on your updated fee schedule that was adopted 2 months ago. I don't know if any of you are paying attention to it or not. The city's lost $41,000 in the first 2 months of your new fee schedule. Over $20,000 of that comes directly out of the general fund in your decreased permits for fees. With the water situation, you know, there was talk about, well, let's pay cash for it. Well, out of your water fund, you've lost over $5,000 in 2 months. Out of your sewer fund, you've lost almost $12,000 in the first 2 months because of your new fee structure. There's been 4 new building permits pulled for single-family residents, which is great. 2 of those would have never had to pay GFCs to begin with. So 2 homes have created this situation that is, like I say, extrapolate this by 10, you know, $500,000 in your first year of operation. And that's only if we do 2 a month or 2 every 2 months. So I just want to bring that to your attention, and I got all these as public records requests. So you can go up there and get the information that it's very factual what I'm saying. In essence, your program is not working. If this continues on, where are you gonna get this money back from? You know, upwards of $500,000 in the first year of a loss. It doesn't make much sense. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Absolutely, you can speak anything you want to speak.
So Mike, was the 5,000 in water and the 12,000 sewer, is that included in the 41,000?
Yes.
Okay, so that's
Yeah,
permit
it was
review.
a little over 20,000 directed back to the general fund, and about a $12,000 loss to the sewer fund, and approximately 5,000 to 6,000 to the water fund.
Okay.
I've got a spreadsheet here if you want.
I'd be very interested in looking at it. Thank you so much for putting that together.
All right, any other general public comment? Seeing none, any administration final touches? Okay, hearing none. Our next meeting will be on June 6th, 2016 at 6 p.m. This meeting is adjourned.
I just want to say one thing. I'm going to be at the Fireman's Pancake Breakfast Saturday morning also.
Whoa,
So I thought I better tell you.
well, that
guys.
means you're going to get like 2 meals because you're going to Colonials, right?
No, it's pancake breakfast is Saturday morning.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
Well, the fire, that's a Saturday morning also. But what we usually do, if we don't eat too much at the Colonials, we walk to the fire. But I don't think that's on Sunday. I think they're both on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you're going to get
two
double breakfast?
yeah.
Okay, just for the record, thank you.